Hello and welcome to the Moon Wisdom video series. So this series is made specifically for my new workbook, Moon Wisdom, which takes you through the cycle of the moon along with each phase to use as a process for improvement, empowerment, development, for quitting addictions, for embracing new goals and working through them, for generally cleaning up your life if you feel like that is something that you're needing to do as well. This workbook, and all credit goes to the moon for having this innate energetic imprint system that works for us as humans to accomplish different things in our life. So this is video 1. So what we're going to be talking about today is the new moon. And so one of the things that I wanted to touch base on is the difference between the new moon and the dark moon, which is going to be in the workbook on the first page of the new moon phase. And so here I just have a little diagram that I've drawn that shows you that the dark moon is when the moon is 100% dark, so eclipsed. So that's a solar eclipse, when the sun isn't able to reflect any light off of the moon's surface, and so we're not actually able to see the moon's surface at all, which if you go to the end of the workbook, it'll talk a little bit more about eclipses, give you some pictures and diagrams of how to understand the positioning of the sun and the earth and the moon in different kinds of eclipses, and then also the energetic imprint. So that's at the back of the workbook. So anyways, we're going to touch on that today. So like I said, when the moon is dark, it's not technically new. So in astronomy versus astrology, there's a lot of different belief systems, and this is one of them. So in astronomy, they're going to believe that the dark moon is the new moon. In astrology and on a more spiritual path, we believe that the dark moon is the death of the previous cycle. So it's the very tail end of the previous cycle, because something can't be new until it shows up, right? And so when that tiniest sliver comes through, that is the new moon. So it's not quite a crescent and it's not a dark moon. It's just a little teeny tiny sliver of light showing the rebirth, showing the newness of the cycle and the entry into the new moon phase. So that's one of the things that I find is very, very important. And for this particular cycle, at the time of filming, we are having a solar eclipse. So that is June 21st is our new moon in Cancer, and so it's actually stating that this is a solar eclipse. So if it's a solar eclipse, that means that we can't see the moon at all, right? That makes it the dark moon. So the next day would actually be the new moon, even though most apps and most planners are going to say that that solar eclipse is the new moon. Either way, if you celebrate the dark moon the previous day or the new moon the next day, it's really not that big of a deal, but it is something that is important for you to understand as you move through the cycle, so that you can take advantage and embrace each different energetic imprint of the different phases, which the dark moon and the new moon, how different could that be is death and rebirth. So very, very different. And we like to use those different energies to ask ourselves certain questions, to go through certain processes. So that is what makes that important. So we are going to say that the solar eclipse happening on the 21st, that is the dark moon. And the following day, the 22nd, or whatever it is in the cycle that you're watching, the next day is going to be the new moon, when that tiny little sliver comes in. And that represents the death and the rebirth of a cycle. So the new moon holds an energy, like we said, of rebirth. So rebirth, even though, you're living through all of these processes, the rebirth and the death give you this opportunity to start again. And that's the energy imprint of a new moon, is that you can leave the past in the past and you can start anew, afresh. Everything, leave it all behind, allow it to die with the previous cycle, forgive yourself, forgive others, and move into the next cycle without bitterness, without restraint, without guardedness, and just go for it in a really, really strong and powerful way. Because the new moon is very exciting. We feel very excited at this time. We feel like we can accomplish anything. this is all about dreaming. We're dreaming about what it is that we want in our lives. And that's something that's very important to do on a regular basis. If we don't dream and think about what we want in the future, then we can't move towards it. And so when we constantly dream and think about what we want, then we're clarifying what we want. That way we can set wishes and intentions and figure out how it is that we're going to get to that dream life that we're creating in our minds. So we need to clarify that, and then as we move through the rest of the moon cycle, we're going to figure out how it is that we can accomplish that and the steps towards accomplishing that. So the new moon energy imprint is excitement, rebirth, release of the past, unburdenedness, dreaming of the future. So very, very exciting time. One of the things that I find is very important, and as we go through the workbook, it's going to take you through a very particular process. So if you have your book with you, you can go to the new moon section. And so what the workbook is going to do is it's going to take you through all of the ideas, all of the energies, and then it's going to take you to a journal exercise, which there's going to be lots of journaling exercises. There's going to be a ton of exercises, ceremonies, and rituals throughout this entire workbook so that it really helps you engage with that cycle. So the first one is going to be identifying your core values. This can be a very complicated process for most people, and most people don't know to do this before they do their new moon ceremony, before they set their intentions for that cycle. And the reason that that is so important is we often get confused about what our core values are, especially as women, because we are socially conditioned to please others, to be nice, to, be engaged by a certain age and have babies by a certain age and just accomplish these different things, while at the same time we're expected to have a career and have independence. And anyways, those are not your core values. Those are the core values that your society is impressing upon you. And so it's very important for you to figure out what exactly is important to you. What are your core values? And core values, what is a core value? For me, one of my core values that I have for myself is to be authentic. I want to be honest. I want to be honest with the people around me. I don't want to shy away from anything. I want to be honest with everyone and say how I really feel. Say no if I mean no. Say hell yes if I mean yes. So moving through those. And so our journaling exercise, how do I identify my values, is going to take you through a process to help you figure out what is actually important for you. So a few examples of that is accountability, achievement, boldness, compassion, connection, decisiveness, diversity, effectiveness, exploration, hard work, honesty, increase, self-control, selflessness, stability, traditionalism, trustworthiness, truth-seeking, understanding, uniqueness, unity, vision, vitality, authenticity. And so these are all different examples of things that you might find that are really important to you. And once you figure out what your core values are, then everything that you do in life, you can do with those core values in mind. Every action and every reaction, you can have a look at it and go, did that align with my core values? When I had this conflictual experience with this person, was that in alignment with my core values? Was I honest? Was I authentic? Did I hold my boundaries up in front of me? Whatever it is, we all are going to come from a very different place. I'm probably going to refer back to a lot of mine, which a lot of mine refer back to truth-telling, honesty, truth-seeking, and authenticity. And because that was something that I struggled with when I was younger, I was a people pleaser. My parents very much had an idea of who they wanted me and my sisters to be and become, and the core values that they wanted us to have. They impressed upon us as opposed to encouraging us to find our own core values. So now as an adult, it's very important for me to stay in touch and clarify what my core values are so that I can then act upon them. So that is the first step before you even get to your new moon ceremony. From there, we go into another journaling exercise. And you can do all of these exercises, like each phase, as you'll learn, in the workbook is approximately 3.5 days. So you can spread all of this out throughout that phase. You don't have to do everything the first day of the phase. So keep that in mind if this seems like a lot. So the next journaling exercise is questions for a new moon. And so these questions are going to, again, help you clarify what it is that's important to you in life, but not is in way of your core values, but is in way of what do you want in this physical realm? What is it that you want to accomplish? What is it that you want to have? Material possessions and so on, recognition, career recognition, children, whatever it may be. What do you want? So this journaling exercise helps you get really clear on that. Where do you want to be 2 years from now? Where do you want to be 5 years from now? Where do you want to be 10 years from now? So again, these questions are really helping you to think about and clarify everything that it is that you want to create in your life, because you can't accomplish something if you can't clarify it. If you can't see it in your mind's eye, if you don't know what it is, then you're just coasting through life, and you're not coasting through anything in particular, and things will still happen because the rest of the world is spinning around you. But how much more effective is your time and your life going to be if you clarify these things within you, and not just like once every couple of years? What if you did this every moon cycle? What if you did that every single moon cycle, clarified what your core values were, reminding yourself of those so that you can make sure that you're acting in alignment with that? And then what if you clarified exactly what it was that you wanted? Because you know, what you want today, 2 years from now, is going to change of what you want a year, 2 years from then. That's going to change, and you need to be open to that journey as well and allowing it to happen. So that is our questions for a new moon. And then finally, we're going to get into our new moon ceremony. And so there's a couple of different kinds of new moon ceremonies, and other moon astrologers might say something different from me. So my new moon ceremony is not an intention setting ceremony. This is where my mystical nature kind of moves in with practicality and pragmaticness. So a new moon ceremony in my mind is this time to sit down with yourself, honor the new moon, and then also get in alignment with it and start to visualize and dream up, go into that meditative state and figure out what exactly is it that you want to see in your life in the future. And so throughout this new moon ceremony, you're going to collect all of the important items to you. You're going to be surrounded by them. You're going to adorn yourself with jewelry and with clothing if that's what makes you feel good. If it doesn't make you feel good, then don't do it. What is going to make you feel good? What can you use as a tool to tap into this higher part of yourself so that you can come and get clear on these different things that you're wanting for your future. So in this ceremony, we go into this meditation, we visualize everything that we want, and then we document it. We document it all. And that is our new moon ceremony. And then after our new moon ceremony, which often I suggest doing this the next day, it is good to space these out, because honestly, you know, say if you take an online course and it's a course that you could do over a couple of months, but you're really quick and you finish it in a couple of days, you're not really getting the value out of that, because the more time that you spread it out over so that you're staying within that energy, you're staying within that thought process, and let's say that thought process is the new moon, and setting our intentions and clarifying our goals and our core values and whatnot, the longer that you stay inside of that process, the more that it's going to be ingrained into your own body, into your own soul. And so this next one, which is the setting of intentions, which I said is not something that I do over my new moon ceremony. This is something that I like to stretch out. So setting intentions, I always do the day after. And so I spend my new moon ceremony and the beginning of the new moon to think and dream and visualize and clarify, and then I figure out what my intentions are going to be. So another thing that I think is that intentions, most people don't know what an intention is. An intention is the smallest fraction of a goal. An intention is, what do I intend to do today so that I accomplish this in 2 years? So that's pretty small, right? So we need to figure out what comes before that. So this intention setting exercise is going to take you through and explain to you what each one is. So, for example, first you create your wishes. So throughout your new moon ceremony, those things that you're visualizing that you have 10 years from now, those are your wishes. I wish to have that. I wish to have that. And then we need to break down that wish into goals and accomplishments. What is it that I need to accomplish? What is it that I can set as a goal so that in 10 years I do have this? So that in 10 years I do have my wish? Because I wish that I could own a farm, and it's not like, boom, you wake up one day and you own a farm. No, you have to be practical about that and figure out what comes. So first we figure out our wishes, then we're going to break it down and figure out what the goals and accomplishments it is that we need to figure out, that we need to accomplish before we can have these wishes. From there, we take these goals and accomplishments and we figure out what the action steps are in order to get to each one of these goals and accomplishments. Do I need to work for a different company and then make my intentions clear that I want to move up the ladder, and so every single day I'm gonna go into work and work really hard? Or do I need to get a certain type of education, whatever it is you need to do? Or do I need to save more money so that I can buy this house? So we have our wishes, then we have our goals and accomplishments, and then we figure out what our action steps is, which becomes the plan. So now we have a plan in place of how exactly it is we're going to get there. And so our intentions become, what can I do on a daily basis to make these goals reachable? How can you act, speak on a daily basis to push forward towards these action steps, towards these goals and accomplishments? So let's say, for example, you are wanting a fulfilling career. For whatever reasons, let's say the end result, let's go back to the house analogy. So you want this new house. You figure the company that I'm with now is never going to promote me to a point where I can make the amount of money where I can buy this house. So I am going to, my goal is to work for another company where I can make, $80,000 a year, so that I have the money to put aside over the next few years, whatnot, to be able to buy this house, to have this wish, to work this accomplishment. And so then you need to figure out the action steps. So the action steps are going to be something like looking for other companies that pay more money, that look for positions or certifications that you can get to help you move a little bit more towards that. And then your intentions are going to be, well, let's say once you get that job, or even if before you get that job, what are your intentions? Your intentions need to be, I'm going to look for a company every single day. I'm going to go to networking events. I'm going to make sure that everyone knows that I'm looking for this job. Once I get this job, my intentions are going to be every day to act in accordance to the position that I want to make it to eventually. And so that's going to be working very hard, not being reactive at work, because that's a huge thing. If you're reactive at work, it's very unlikely that you're going to get promoted. You need to deal with things with emotional maturity in order to move up. And so if you work with those intentions every single day, working really hard, and responding to things as to reacting to things, then you're gaining a reputation that's going to help you move up in that company. And so those are your intentions. So we start at the top, wishes, goals and accomplishments, action steps, aka the plan, and then we move down into intentions. So this is how we set our intentions. You don't just set random intentions, because how do you know where that's going to end up? This is what I used to do when I first started doing moon astrology. I didn't quite understand what I was doing. So over a new moon ceremony, I would set intentions like, oh, this month I want to make more money. That's not an intention. That's a goal. But in order for me to make more money, it's not just, oh, hey, Moon, can you give me more money or get more people to buy things from my company? No, I have to be active in figuring out how it is that that's going to happen. And so this isn't a process of making wishes and hoping that they come true. This is a process of actually figuring out how to do it yourself, how to take responsibility and control for yourself. That is our setting intentions. And then the very last bit of our new moon section is going to be an optional journaling exercise, which there is going to be a few of these. And so these optional exercises, and some of them are from my life purpose course that I have that helps people really clarify and get really deep on a lot of the things that we do throughout the moon cycle, but this helps us get really, really deep. And so this is called Your Best Self Exercise. I'm not going to go into that, but have a read through it. This is a really good exercise to do once or twice a year to help you, again, clarify who is it that you want to be? Who is it that you want to project into the world? So that is our new moon. That is our new moon process. So I hope that you have the New Moon Wisdom Workbook and that a lot of that made sense. If it didn't, go and read through the entire workbook up until the end of the new moon, and I assure you there is step-by-step instructions in there for everything, and it goes much, much deeper into the energy imprint of the new moon as well. Alrighty, good luck, and let me know if you need any help.